Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Actress and 2018 Emmy nominee Naomi Grossman is today's guest. Naomi will talk about her work on the FX show American Horror Story, as well as her passion for writing and producing.
Naomi Grossman, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So great to have you here. Naomi, when did you first become interested in acting as a career?
Gosh. My parents were really great about exposing me to culture. So at I don't know, age 3, 4, 5, while we were, at the theater and at the opera, at the ballet, at the symphony, at the, sitting in the audience, watching, whatever we were watching. I just wanted to be up there with them. I didn't want to be out there, watching.
Right.
So it's hard to pinpoint like this exact moment, but, yeah, I mean, very early on, my mom took me to the public library to see a kids performing company, and I said, "Oh, I want to be in that." And so, sure enough, I auditioned. Didn't get in, but they also offered creative dramatics classes, which I took. In fact, I love to tell the story that I remember the first day of my very first acting class. Of course, my mom fed me, you need to be nourished. This is our instrument. So we went for a big burger and fries. And then sure enough, when I went to the class, again, this is children's creative dramatics. So we're painting with one hand, paint with the left hand, paint with your leg, paint with the other leg. And then all of a sudden we're painting with your whole body. And you probably can imagine where this is going to go. The burger and fries and everything else came up. And I was, horrified publicly. And yet I was hooked. From that moment on, I came back every week. Most people probably would have said, you know what, I can never go back there. But no, I was like, this is what I want to be when I grow up. So regardless, I was in.
That's great.
Public humiliation and all.
Yes. If you can't take the humiliation, get out of the kitchen, because, you really put yourself out there when you're in an acting role. It's interesting because I find a lot of parallels with many of the people I interview, not just actors, but anyone in the entertainment business, be it producers, writers, even comedians. And I have to tell you that I don't consider myself really in the entertainment business, although I do have the show, but not like you and some of the other guests. But I do hear often how they started young. And maybe that's when I got the kind of entertainment bug, because I saw Broadway shows. You can tell from my accent, I'm from New York, from Yonkers, New York, originally. And at age 7 and 8, I was seeing Broadway shows that other people wouldn't see unless they were 15 or 25 or adults. So I think that's a great thing. And I think parents need to really expose their children to that. I also see a lot of parallels in, you mentioned going to class. Now, a lot of the people I interview have gone to classes as adults, and maybe you have too, and now they even teach them. But you really have to hone your craft. And in your business, there's a lot of stress. And today's youth seem to find it so hard to deal with stress. How did you deal with the stress of auditions and sometimes being turned down to certain roles? I mean, you were turned down when you auditioned as a kid. So,
oh yeah.
How do you deal with that as a youngster and now, as an actress?
Yeah, I mean, I am a professional auditioner. Like I get turned down like 40 hours a week, pretty much. That's what I do. I auditioned yesterday and, throw it away. I don't bother telling anyone about it because people that aren't actors don't get it. They continually, oh, so how did your audition go? Oh, it's like, what audition? Like, you make yourself crazy if, thinking about it. So you just got to go in and move on. It's like, swiping right on a dating app. Like, just because you swiped it doesn't mean you're falling in love. So move on, and save your sanity. So I have a really thick skin as far as that goes. I just I think I'm really realistic. Like, I know that there are a million factors that go into whether or not you're cast. Like, it has actually very little to do with talent. You could look like the director's ex-wife. Right. You could be Laurence Olivier, and it doesn't matter. Like, you're not getting that part. And as far as like the Pepper role, which is of course the one I'm most known for, they took a bunch of actors who they knew could handle the demands of the role, brought them in for a meeting with makeup. We took profiles, and then they later took those photos and manipulated them to see what we would look like as Pepper, or rather with the makeup, for example. And, the bridge of my nose looked best. Who knew? I didn't know I had a great nose. In fact, I don't. Like, it's not a particularly bad nose or a particularly good nose, but in this case, it was the perfect nose. And so I think that's important to know. Like, it could come down to the bridge of your nose. So, there's no point in running out and getting a nose job, because you just never know. Like, it's also individual. It's also random. It's also, all you can do is be the best you. And by that, I do mean the best version of, the character that you have in mind. That's it. And then throw it away and then move on, because, your mental health is more important.
I have to tell you honestly that as an educator for over 30 years, I am so happy with that philosophy, because some would hear it and think that you were just offering words of discouragement. It could be the bridge, it could be the way that, that you could look like his ex-wife. But I've heard encouragement, because what I heard is it's really not within your control. Many things are not within your control. So do the best you can with the vision you think the character should be, and move forward with that, and then put it aside. So that's really wonderful, because everybody, we often hear about the glory, but not the story. And, you not only act, but you also write, you produce. So what obstacles did you have to overcome in those very different areas of entertainment?
Well, the writing and producing mostly came out of necessity. I wasn't being cast in a traditional way. And so I just decided to cast myself. And even then, I'm not writing hoping to, sell this movie for someone else to star in. Like, it's more vehicles for myself to act in. And it's not that I'm so self-obsessed. It's just, that's the way my brain works. Like, what I write tends to be autobiographical, and who better to perform it than me? Like, I lived it, so I should know. So yeah, I think it was early on in my, time in Los Angeles that I realized, like, I was spending all this time going to the post office, mailing out my headshots, just sort of waiting for something to happen. And I realized I really needed to make it happen for myself. And I think that was a really important lesson. And, especially now, like, people do not sit around like that. I think once upon a time there was, a time when Katharine Hepburn or whomever sat at the Formosa Cafe, and somebody just wandered up to her bar stool and offered her a 3-picture deal. I think we kind of have this romantic vision of that's what it's like. You're waiting tables in Los Angeles, and some producer strikes your fancy, and that does not happen. Maybe once upon a time, but not anymore. So, if there's enough success stories. I'm thinking of like Phoebe Walker-Bridge, or some of these itty bitty little shows like Fleabag that started as a one-woman show in Edinburgh, Scotland, that turned into bam, like the biggest Emmy-winning comedy in 2019 or whatever that was. But that was all her. That was because she made it happen for herself. And so I'm very much a, self-starter in that regard. Because I wasted too much time just expecting them to come to me, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, what I'm hearing is a tremendous passion, a tremendous motivation, and the way you worded it, it's very strange because it's almost like a calling. I don't know what else I would do. There's 5 million other things you could do, but it doesn't even enter your mind. You eat, sleep, breathe your craft. And that is never, in my opinion, more evident than the transformation you're willing to take vis-a-vis American Horror Story. So your transformation was truly awe-inspiring. So let's get the inside scoop of your incredible role as Pepper on American Horror Story.
Wow. I'm sorry. I just got chills you saying that, because you have just sussed me up. I'm pretty simple. I know men are from Mars and women are from Venus or whatever. And, but, women are supposedly these complex beings, but you have just nailed me to a T. I am living, breathing, acting all the time. And, when the IRS audited me and said this was a hobby, I was like, oh no, dear sir, you do not know me. Yeah. I may be making money like it's a hobby, but no, it's a vocation. It's a calling, just like you said. The transformation, and you're right. I really didn't think twice about shaving my head, because this is what we do when you love it this much. As if I love this hair more than a potentially life-changing role. No, it's, in fact, I shave it all off again just because it's annoying. What can I tell you? It was it was a 2.5 to 3 hour process every day. There was a prosthetic brow, nose, ears, some fake teeth, a wonky eye. I, of course, wore a fat suit. I had prosthetic arms. In the case of the Freak Show episode 1, the orgy we did, I wore a prosthetic belly. That was probably a 6-hour day in the makeup chair. So, it was very involved. But, when people say, oh, I could never do that, I'm like, really? You could never show up at work and just, sit back and relax the first 3 hours? Like, it's kind of a dream job as far as I'm concerned. Most people have to do something when they clock in, I had to just close my mouth, which is hard enough for me. But
well, I just think that's so inspiring, because, to be honest, I think I did suss you up, as you said. I did my homework and so many things, but from my eyes, you didn't become that character. You are that character. I saw a clip where you were going through the streets, and just the facial expressions and the whole personality came through. I think you just become who you need to be. And, I didn't get this hairstyle like you did because I got a big part, but I do understand that, to do a physical transformation like that, some people would say, oh my God, sitting still for 3 hours and now look what I look like. So your just whole philosophy, your whole mindset is just so refreshing. And I have to tell you, you're kind of the exception more than the rule in many cases. And I think that's unbelievable, especially for young people who are watching. People don't always get recognized for the great work they do. And I mean recognized, not look at your face, but here's an award, that kind of thing. So what went through your mind when you were nominated for an Emmy?
Well, that was a huge surprise, only because it was for something that I would never have thought would have been nominated for an Emmy. It was, a small web series really called Control Alt Delete, which, for lack of a better term, was an abortion comedy, which was created by some friends of mine, and I really wanted to support them. I'm a supporter of Roe versus Wade, and at the time it wasn't even on the chopping block the way it is now. But at the time I thought, well, I want to support these girls in their venture, and my dream for them was for this show to get picked up, and turned into a real show. Not that it's not real, but a TV show, the same way Cheers is set at a bar. This is just another comedy series set at an abortion clinic. And I felt like there's let's face it, there's not that many original stories out there anymore. I mean, everything's we've seen it all before.
Yep.
But I don't know that we've seen this. And so it seemed to me like there's a place for it. And I very selfishly got involved, hoping, because let's face it, of all the roles in the show, this is probably the series regular role, because my particular character basically uses abortion as her birth control, and consequently comes back and back and back for more abortions. And so I thought, well, gosh, this might be my in, as a series regular on a network comedy. And unfortunately, the network never made that happen. But hey, an Emmy nomination came out of it, and that was pretty miraculous. Last thing I went into it expecting.
Right. That's definitely a welcome surprise. And it's amazing. You hear so many stories about shows that went on and movies that went on to be blockbusters that were turned down by different producers and different movie chains, things of that nature. So, it's amazing how this thing that started off small, you had big dreams for, but I think that, if you had, what are your 6 hopes? I don't think any of them would have been, and I'd like to be nominated for an Emmy for what I'm doing. So I think that's amazing. And you're so involved in so many different aspects of the entertainment business. So what new projects are on the horizon for Naomi Grossman?
Well, I can tell you my passion project is my new solo show, which I've done 2 prior. Girl in Argentine Landscape, which was sort of my coming of age story, and then followed by Carnival Knowledge, which is sort of my misadventures dating in Los Angeles story. And now this third in the trilogy is called American Horror Story. And it's sort of my history of hustling. It's pre-Pepper, post-Pepper, becoming Pepper. It's the thing that everybody's queuing up for at, the Comic-Cons to hear the story. And yet this is the curated version. This is the very carefully crafted, performance piece. So it's a whole lot better than sitting in some, Comic-Con panel, believe me. But anyway, that's what I spent a lot of the pandemic kind of crafting. And now I'm ready to put it on stage. We've got, animators and composers and all kinds of folks, working feverishly away at it, and hope to have that on stage in May. We're looking at first a run in Los Angeles, then a run in New York, most likely in Chicago. And of course, the real dream is we'll, have it captured on video, and then hopefully we'll, sell it to some streaming network so that everyone around the world can see it. So that's what I am personally making happen right now. I have done some other fun projects lately, which people can keep an eye out for. I did an episode of a new show called Obliterated, which is on Netflix, or will be on Netflix. It's not out yet. It's the same producers as Cobra Kai. So you can imagine what that it's going to be a lot of action, a lot of comedy. And I have a small but absolutely unforgettable role, which is kind of my thing, as you can see by now. What else do I have cooking? I did a kids movie earlier this year called Pet Detectives. No idea how that'll come out. I just did a little horror movie called Hauntology. Again, it's funny, like we actors, we do our job, and who knows? It could be years before we actually see these things. So we're at the mercy of the editors and everyone else, doing their job to finish it up. So it's hard to say, they ask, oh, what's next? And I know what I can control. And that is, for example, American Horror Story. As for all the other stuff, my part's done. Now it's up to them to do theirs.
Right. Some things that never make it off the cutting room floor. But I have to close with this. Such exciting projects. But I've always been a believer, and there are people who and that's fine. There are people who let things happen and people who make things happen. And the educator in me, it resonated. I have to say that I noticed that you said, oh, this is something I'm making happen. And even though you're not alone, you have a team, you really do have the great philosophy of you're making this happen. And I think that's tremendous. So Naomi Grossman, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your passion for acting, writing, and producing. I wish you such luck on your new projects. And to the viewers, I'll see you and have a great day. Naomi, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.